After doing parts 1 and 2 on how to get more headshots, I figured a functional follow-up video made more sense. So in this video, I'm going to break down a few real clips, show what's happening in real time, and give some practical insight into what helps create more headshots in actual games. If this kind of content resonates with you, be sure to follow and subscribe for more content, and let me know if you want to see more clip breakdowns like this. So starting off with this clip, it's pretty simple, straightforward, ahead of time, scanning the horizon and getting a kill. What you may not have noticed is that I check the minimap before this clip even starts. I notice there's somebody down here on the minimap, which means they're somewhere around this area here. So once we get the kill, what I notice immediately is that there's a second dot that has appeared. So I know there's two people right here somewhere in this area, potentially behind this truck, maybe moving up. Sometimes it's really hard for me to tell exactly where on the minimap, but I know it's this area for sure. So as we progress, I'm assuming that they're going to push this. So I'm hesitating here and just seeing if I see anybody, if I see them moving here, just in case if there's a third one that I don't know is there, or if these guys start being more aggressive. Moving on, again, hesitate, and I know this is where I'm going to utilize my cover, is this area here. Because I know if they're buying that second truck, I can utilize the first truck here as cover and try to get good headshots. So I end up swinging this wide just in case they're on this spot, and as you can tell, I happen to be aiming a little bit lower. I just got lucky here that it happened to be right where his head is going to be. And even then, I still aimed a little bit off point. I was aiming like here, and I aimed down here when I ADS'd, but still, this is not much of an adjustment that has to be made. So this ends up being an easy kill, and what you'll notice is I swung wide. So I swung wide, killed him, and then I drop back behind cover while I'm rechambering. And then again, I swing wide again. Probably need to be aiming more around this area here, but it ends up working out okay in the long run. And like I spoke about in the previous video, trying to keep this line here. I'm not trying to aim exactly on the edge of this. I'm trying to stay off just in case they peek. And it ends up being another easy headshot. This one is a little bit different because I'm on a roof, but I know that this line here is cover, so I'm trying only to give myself away to this particular guy. That way it's just him and me in a one-on-one. I don't need to be pushed up directly to the edge of this cover, because if I do, then I'm going to open myself up to anybody who's down in these particular areas, but also anybody who's this way as well. So after we get the kill, you'll notice I'm pushing up slightly, I'm moving forward, but I'm also having side-to-side movement here while scanning to see if there's any other enemies around. And that's an easy pick-off. I was scanning this prior to the clip, so I already know there's not that many people left in this area, if any at all, and if there would be, it's people that are actively spawning in. So now I'm trying to push up a little bit and see down this direction and see if there's any enemies that are coming up. So as we play this clip, what you'll notice is I could have done a little bit better job aiming here. When we ADS, I'm at his legs instead of up here. But this is still not much of an adjustment to make. And again, like the last clip, you see I shot and then I crouched down behind cover while I'm rechambering just to pop up and continue shooting. So what you'll notice, just like in the last clip, I shoot and then I'm ducking down behind cover. This can be highly helpful in a lot of situations, as it can throw the enemy's cadence off, and it gives you a little bit of time where you're not going to be able to shoot anyways, so you can rechamber and then come back out safely. I've mentioned in a previous video, you don't necessarily want to re-peek in the same exact spot either, but given this situation, I'm scanning for enemies. I don't think there's any there, so it doesn't matter quite as much. And I'm able to get another easy kill. Because I wasn't fully peeked here and wasn't trying to push up super aggressively, it was a much more difficult shot for the tank to try to hit me with, so I was able to get away from this situation and live. Are any of us really living though? This clip is pretty similar. We're going to utilize this rock as cover here. This protects us from anybody that's behind this rock, but it allows us to see these particular people here. Now, the problem with this rock is we can't shoot completely over it. There's certain spots where I can't really hit anybody that's in this particular area. It's mostly going to be these people on this line going this way. But as we play the clip, shoot, duck down. Even though I didn't get the headshot there, I'm still going to duck down behind cover. It's going to put pressure on them, especially if they haven't seen me yet. It's going to put pressure on them trying to figure out where exactly I am. So if I'm behind the rock, they're not seeing my sniper glint even if I'm still ADS'd. And if I pop up immediately, kind of in the same spot, it gives me the opportunity to get the follow-up kill. And now you'll see I said kind of the same spot because I didn't do this. I didn't re-peek that way. I re-peeked this way. The reason I did that is pretty simple. I know there's 3 people over here. I know there's one right here, and I'm fairly confident it's a recon player. So chances are they're going to be trying to maintain line of sight exactly where I'm at, not this way a little bit. So if I peek up this way quickly and shoot, I can get back behind cover. And I re-peek again, but this time I kind of aimed a little further than I intended on, but still pretty close, not as much of an adjustment that needs to be made. As a result, pretty easy kill. Now again, this is kind of where that rock comes into play, and this is kind of the problem with a lot of Battlefield 6 cover and stuff in general and how the maps are laid out, because oftentimes they'd have something where I could get an angle here while still being covered from all of this here. Granted, with rocks like this, it's kind of natural that that's going to be a limitation, so you have to be careful here, because even though I initially was looking this area, I know their spawn is this direction. There's going to be people coming this way and this way. There's going to be people on this rock here as well at some point. So it's a lot of angles that they have a line of sight on me. So I have to be mindful of that. And this was what I was talking about with the rock. I know I'm going to struggle to hit guys here, even if I can see them, because I'm going to end up hitting the hitbox of the rock itself. So I have to kind of jump on top of it. And that's extremely risky because now my entire body is wide open to everybody that's going to be here. So these are situations where you have to make your shots count. So again, for this clip, this is really going to be focused on that crosshair placement. We just took this sector, and it's really hard to tell, but there's 2 enemies, one here and one here. Why Battlefield has it where it's so dim and you can't see, I don't know. I kind of preferred the old system with like Battlefield 5 where people had a 3D ping when they were out of bounds once you took the sector. So what you'll notice is I did a quick look off this way. The reason for that is because I didn't know if there were any enemies over here and I saw a dead teammate. These are high traffic areas on this part of the map, so I have to be aware if there's anybody there. That lets me know if I have to worry about being shot here and have to use this rock as cover for these 2 enemies. So moving on here, you're going to notice something ever so slightly. I adjust my crosshair down a hair. It's kind of hard to notice it in the moment, but this enemy is right here. This is the top of his head. I can barely make out this red spot here, so I know the top part of his head, which means I need to pull my crosshair down. It means that he's either low or he's crouching, which means my crosshair needs to come down. That way it's already head level. There's the adjustment. Going to come around, and I should have actually held this angle a little sharper here, because it should have been like this, and then I'm taking this line and just moving it this way. Right, so let's say if that was head height, then I'm here and I'm moving it this way as I'm coming out of cover, and it would already been there. Instead, we're at head height, but we're just not on the head itself. Still, in this situation, I have the advantage because I'm moving out of cover. He knows somebody's probably going to be coming through here, but I doubt I'm spotted, and I know he was there. So, easy headshot. Now, I didn't expect that guy to peek quite that fast, but you see, I already know about where I need to have my crosshair placed. So even though I'm a little high here, just a little bit, I'm still on his head, and that's an easy kill. And that's a kill I may not have gotten if my crosshair was way off the mark or if I shot him in the body. Using cover right here, I still would have been able to shoot and duck behind cover before he could have killed me. However, that's the difference between getting shot, potentially dying, and getting a kill without taking damage. In this clip, I've already covered this area, I've scanned it, I've already dealt with enemies that were over there. However, I'm still going to utilize this rock to cut off some of the sight line from that direction. That way, I can more easily scan these areas here for enemies. And I don't have to worry about any potential pressure coming from that angle, unless they're up here on this roof, or they get up onto this roof here. Again, what you'll notice is I went down here to keep me covered from this angle. All of this stuff this direction. It just allows me to move up a little easier just in case there's enemies that way, and allows me to focus on anything that's going on directly in front of me. But where the main clip comes in is how I push this spot here. You're gonna see a couple of things here. One, I have a teammate, he's running this way. I'm assuming, right, assuming there's not enemies this direction. However, I'm also assuming there is, because most of the time I find my teammates are oblivious and incompetent as shit. However, at the same time, there's an enemy this direction. I could see them on the mini-map, and I have a teammate running that direction. But I'm still fairly certain there's some enemies this way from some fights that happened earlier. Maybe they're there, maybe they're not. But you don't know until you check. That's the only way to know for sure. So I'm still going to scan this area, just in case. And I'm going to scan this area this direction as well, just to see if there's any enemies there and kind of get an understanding of what's going on and what I need to do as a result. Now, it doesn't seem like I scanned this area, but I came up and obviously there's some cover here. I don't have to worry too much about people in this area. I also see that I have a drone here. So I know there's only one person this direction, and the only way they're going to get me is that they come this way, or they come around behind me. But if they did that, if you look on the mini-map, they have 2 teammates they have to deal with of mine here, and I have a couple more with me. But looking here, this is what I want to point out. Because of my field of view, looking here, I can still see this area and this area. And if there's any enemies on this point, they're going to be more than likely this area, because I have a drone right here. So again, even though I peeked out here, I'm still keeping in mind I have cover here and I have cover here. So as I ADS, as I see this guy, so as I ADS, you can see I'm not quite head level, but we're at kind of different heights as well, which is why. But this is an easy shot to hit. But as I ADS, I notice there's movement off on the left. So I take that in mind. I get a shot. What do? I drop back and left. So I'm dipping behind cover just so I can re-peek it. And again, shoot, drop back behind cover. In this kind of situation, I'm standing on rubble. I had to walk up onto rubble to get a good line of sight here. So I don't have to necessarily crouch down. I can just move back and then go forward when I'm ready. So I wait and I peek it again. Now, let's look at something here. So what you'll notice is this first time, right? This spot here, I've peeked my head in this area. And then I move to the right a little bit, drop down, and I come back. I'm functionally in the same area, but I'm peeking and shooting quickly, right? My crosshair placement is the key here. If I didn't have good crosshair placement, it would be extremely difficult for me to peek in roughly the same spot. I can't necessarily peek here because this cover is a little too high. I can't go up high enough. So having good crosshair placement decreases the amount of movement that I have to make, which decreases the time it takes for me to get on target and shoot, which decreases the time it takes for them to register I've peeked and to shoot me back. And then that last peek was just to make sure everybody else was dead. Hopefully this made some of those headshot concepts feel a little more practical and easier to spot in terms of real matches. Like I said, the goal for this video was a functional follow-up to take some of those ideas and show what they look like with actual gameplay. So if you found this helpful and you would like more clip breakdowns like this, be sure to let me know down in the comments below. I'll catch you on the next one. RAMTEID out.